So when Clorinde came out, I was really excited. It had been a long time since an Electro 5-star was released, so when I saw she was announced, I was really looking forward to her. Then I saw her gameplay in the livestream and I was sold. Her animations looked insane, they were really cool and really fast, so I saved up for her. I skipped Baiju, and when she came out, I pulled her immediately and put the best gear I had on her. I played her a ton, but I started to notice some cracks. While she is no doubt good, there are some things that come with her that really prevented me from liking her as much as I hoped to. The best place to start is with her kit. First off, her kit does actually feel good to play. In it, you're really fast, you're going all over the place, doing very fast attacks, and I like how you're not just doing one attack, but you're alternating from normal attacks to skill. And I gotta say, her skill is really nice. You can dodge enemies' attacks, which always feels cool, and with it you can easily close the distance between you and enemies, which makes fighting enemies far away really no problem. Whereas with other units, there's this sort of like awkward run towards them that just kills time and kills the time of your abilities and so on. And while these things are good and dandy, what definitely isn't is how punishing her skill can be. With a duration of just 7.5 seconds, her skill can feel really short. Like, no joke, there's times where I activate her skill and before I know it, it's done already. It feels like I literally just started to use it, but it's somehow done. Now granted, most units do have a duration of 6 seconds. There are some outliers, but 6 seconds is the standard. However, these 6-second units also have a 6-second cooldown, whereas Clorinde's is 8.5. While this may just be a matter of a few seconds, her duration is larger, which I'd say is the thing that gives this sort of impression of her skill feeling short. And another thing that lends to this is her lack of interruption resistance. Since Clorinde only has 7.5 seconds to attack, you want to make the most out of this time and attack as much as possible. You really don't want to get hit. If you do, it's a notable DPS loss, since that'll eat your attack window, of which is already short. This need to make the most out of her attack window wouldn't be as bad if she had the resistance other units have, but unfortunately at C0 she doesn't. Now I want to talk about Clorinde's biggest strength, that is her Bond of Life mechanic. The fact that Clorinde is able to actively heal herself with her skill is very good. She can heal herself by a good amount, and most importantly, her healing is repetitive and quick, which makes her survivability good, and no doubt better than Arlecchino's, who's locked to her burst if you want to heal her. But the thing that really lends to the strength of her Bond of Life is that it perfectly pairs with Furina. Normally, if you're playing an Electro unit with Furina, you need to also play a healer that synergizes with Furina. This alone takes up 3 team slots. But with Clorinde, this isn't the case. Since Clorinde is able to constantly heal herself, she on her own is able to produce Furina stacks without the need of a healer. And this is a huge positive of Clorinde's. Yes, Furina is locked to this positive, but without a doubt, Furina is broken. She's literally the best Hydra support right now. She's able to massively buff her entire team, making its damage significantly better than it was before. And this same support is able to seamlessly fit into Clorinde's teams, which allows for Clorinde to perform her various electro reactions and make use of the big damage increase Furina brings. So while Furina is required for this positive, if you have her, which I'm sure most of you do, Clorinde's DPS output is inherently improved by a huge margin. And this of course is without the use of reactions. Since we've gone over Furina, let's get into Clorinde's teams, and this was another aspect of Clorinde I really wish was improved. I know a lot of people were complaining about her damage, and to comment on that, to be honest, I was initially too. I found her damage to be very underwhelming, but after I got used to her playstyle and I maxed her out to level 90, she felt way better. She was definitely not broken, but definitely wasn't weak either. Instead, what got to me was the lack of her diversity in teams. Now to be fair, I would not put it as some people are putting it. They say Clorinde is only locked to Dendro teams and that she has no diversity whatsoever. The thing is, there is diversity in her teams, but not much. I noticed this when doing my Clorinde team video, and while there was 2 non-Dendro teams I mentioned, one being very effective, it's clear that Dendro teams were her best teams. Seeing that she applied so much Electro with her skill, it's clear that Dendro teams are the teams she's meant to be played in. In a certain sense, this is good, seeing as Dendro reactions are Electro's best reactions. Of course, Clorinde should be good in them. But this does make her team building very restrictive. I'm someone that always likes to use different teams and switch things up, but with Clorinde this really doesn't happen. Sure, you can try to play Clorinde in a non-Dendro reaction, and you can even put Farina in the team to make it a lot better, but the fact is that if you want Clorinde to perform at her best, you need to play her in Dendro teams. This bothered me since there really wasn't anything new that Clorinde brought to these teams. She's essentially like every other Electro unit in the game. She's great in Dendro and wants the staples of Electro like Fischl, and that's that. There's nothing new or transformative that Clorinde brings, and this is my biggest gripe with Clorinde. In Fontaine, we've seen units with new and defining playstyles that have pushed their elements to the next level. We've got a crazy broken hyper carry that pretty much needs no one. We've got a massive buffer that buffs her entire team by a huge amount, and all she needs is these team-wide healers that everybody's forgot about, making these healers far more effective than before. And then we've got a Geo unit that actually uses reactions. Every other Geo unit has never used reactions. Crystallize was non-existent, and it was all about mono Geo. But in Fontaine, that's not the case. Here we have this crazy lady with a shotgun that casually hits for 200k. But when Clorinde comes, this same pattern does not continue. Clorinde is the same as every other older Electro unit we've had in the past. She doesn't push the boundary of her element, nor does she incorporate some new playstyle that improves forgotten units or changes things up. It's possible that Clorinde's new playstyle or gimmick is that she's actively able to heal herself. After all, there's no Electro DPS that can actually do this. But even if this is the case, this isn't anything big. You can already do this with a healer, and this doesn't push Electro beyond where it was. In fact, it's still at the same spot, defined by the same limits. If this wasn't the case, 1000% I would like her way more, as I have with the other units of Fontaine. But unfortunately, this isn't how it is. Now, I still like her, and I honestly am still glad that I pulled her. I'm definitely not saying that she's bad or weak or all sorts of things like that, because simply that's just not the case. In fact, I would actually recommend her to certain players. But she doesn't redefine Electro or change it in any way, or really in any big way, I should say, maybe. So this is why I was disappointed with Clorinde and why I didn't have as much fun as I really hoped to. But these are just all my thoughts. I want to know in the comments, what is your guys' thoughts on Clorinde? Are you completely happy with her? Do you wish some things were changed like I do? Or do you just not like her at all? Please let me know all these things in the comments. And with that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you all for watching. Take care. And thank you all for watching once again.